What is up, car addicts? So for the past few months, I've been getting questions as to which cars are the best for racing in each class currently in 2020. So I decided to just put all of them in one video to make it easier for you guys. I'm sure you saw the video I posted on April 1st, which of course was an April Fool's joke, making a list of random meme cars and just funny cars in general like the Prius and the Faggio. But now I'm going to be doing a video with the actual fastest cars. These cars are mainly chosen based on Bruffy1322's track testing and some of my personal experience in racing as well. I will leave the link to his channel down below if you haven't subscribed to him. You really should subscribe to him. He is undoubtedly the king of car testing for GTA. Keep in mind that the cars chosen are factoring in a combination of good handling, acceleration, and top speed. So again, the cars chosen are not chosen based only off acceleration like airport drag race testing or only top speed like highway top speed testing. It's a combination of multiple factors. And also what I've decided to do is add in a budget car for each class as well for players who can't afford the pricier cars to the top of the classes. So let's go ahead and get started. Starting off with the Sedans class, we have the Benefactor Shafter V12. Keep in mind that this car is in the sports class, but it is usable in sedan races. This car only costs about $116,000 and is an insane value for the raw speed and sound you get. As for the budget car for this class, it would still be the Shafter V12 in my opinion. I feel it's cheap enough, and let's be honest, if you're not in this car, you will lose. It is miles ahead of all the other cars in the sedans class. Moving on to the Coupes class, we have the Ubermax Zion. This is an original GTA car from 2013 that you can steal right off the street and store it for free. Rockstar hasn't given any love to the Coupes class other than the two Windsors, but those just don't handle well at all. As for the budget car for this class, it would still be the Zion because you literally can get it off the street for free. Now, onto the compacts class, we have the Brioso RA. This car is an animal in the compacts class races. It costs $155,000 and is a very good value for the performance you get out of it in my opinion. Now, it doesn't have the top speed of the Conjo, but it's substantially better handling and acceleration, allows it to beat the Conjo on almost any track with turns. As for the budget car for this class, it would still be the Brioso in my opinion. The price isn't too bad and the performance difference compared to other compacts cars is just miles ahead. Moving on to the SUVs class, we have the Toros. This Lamborghini inspired SUV surprisingly only costs $498,000, which is a good deal in my opinion for the performance you get out of it, not just for the class but in general. The Toros is actually the fastest four-door vehicle in a straight line as well, which is just insane. And you would think for a vehicle that looks like this and as fast as this would cost over $1 million. As for the budget car for this class, I'm going to still have to go with the Toros. Purchasing a lower end SUV class vehicle will have you at a major disadvantage as the Toros literally has sports car level performance. Now onto the off-roads class, we have the BF400. Keep in mind that this bike is in the motorcycles class, but it's usable in off-road races. Surprisingly, it only costs $95,000 and it absolutely wrecks everything in the off-roads class, especially if you're constantly doing wheelies. Now I will note that there are some custom races with deep water areas that people make where the BF400 just can't compete. You just go in the water and you have to keep respawning. So for those races, what you want to do is purchase the Camacho, which is actually priced pretty decently at $345,000 and performs very well. As for the budget vehicle for this class, I would recommend the Sanchez. You can get this dirt bike off the street for free or purchase it for $7,000. But if you're able to, I would suggest that BF400 for the $95,000. It's a lot faster. Moving on to the motorcycles class, we have the Shotaro and the Hakuchu Drag. Now you only need to buy one of these. They compete very closely in the class on very tight tracks with lots of turns. I personally recommend the Hakuchu Drag since it's a lot cheaper than the Shotaro. As for the budget vehicle for this class, it would be the Batty 801 in my opinion. This bike only costs $15,000 and has good handling and of course allows you to wheelie, which gets you to ridiculous top speed so you're able to keep up with the top two bikes. Now onto the Vans class, we have the Gang Burrito and the Rumpo Custom. Now you only need to buy one of these. I personally recommend the Gang Burrito as it's a little bit cheaper and it's not as top heavy as the Rumpo Custom, which has a tendency to go on two wheels and tip over a lot. And as for the budget vehicle for this class, it would be the Gang Burrito in my opinion. Now on to the utilities class. While rarely anyone races in this class anymore, the best one is the Saddler pickup truck. You can steal it off the street and store this truck for free, or buy it for $35,000. This is probably one of the least raced classes up there with the bicycles class, but definitely worth having in your garage since it's essentially for free. And speaking of the bicycles class, the best one for racing in that class is any of the 3 race bikes. Now keep in mind that you don't need to buy any of these bicycles as they aren't customizable, so you can just pick any of the 3 race bikes when you come across bicycles race. Moving on to the muscle cars class, we have the Yosemite and the Pizwazzer Dominator. For this one, I personally recommend owning both if you can, as the Pizwazzer Dominator has a higher top speed and can beat the Yosemite if it's a track with lots of top speed sections. The Yosemite costs $485,000, and the Pizwazzer Dominator costs $236,000, or free if you're a returning GTA player from old gen. As for the budget car for this class, it would still be the Pizwazzer Dominator for free if you were a returning GTA player from old gen. If not, I would recommend the regular Dominator as you can steal it off the street and store it for free. Moving on to the Sports Classics class, we have the Turismo Classic and the Cheetah Classic. Now you only need to buy one of these. I personally recommend the Turismo Classic as it's a little bit cheaper. It's insane how well these 2 cars drive. They handle like modern sports cars essentially, which is insane, and their speed is good as well. As for a budget car for this class, it would be the Turismo Classic in my opinion. Sports Classics cars in general are not very cheap, and at about $700,000, I believe the Turismo Classic is a very good deal. Onto the sports class, we have the famous Pariah and the Italy GTO. Now I know about the Morgan car with the turbo upgrade thing, it's fast as well, but in my opinion it's better just to get an Italy GTO or the Pariah because they have the top speed advantage. In my opinion, the Italy GTO is a little better than the Pariah if you have a bumpy road or a stunt race, so that's the one I would ultimately recommend if you can't afford both. As for the budget car for this class, it would be the Elegy RH8, which is actually free for people who have a social club account. This car is very faster on tracks with turns as it has good handling and good acceleration as well. Now for the supercars class, we have the Progen Emirates and the Benefactor Krieger. Now you only need to buy one of these, they are extremely close competitive wise. Deciding which one to buy is all personal preference. Now I will say the Krieger is a lot easier to drive since it's all-wheel drive. The Emirates is a lot harder to drive as the back end does like to step out sometimes if you're not careful. So I would ultimately recommend the Krieger for most people. As for the budget car for this class, that would be the Dubachi Wagner in my opinion if you want a chance of competing with the Emirates and the Krieger. And if you're really on an even more of a strict budget, less than $1 million, and just want to get a good supercar for the money, even though you will be at a major disadvantage, that would be the Zentorno in my opinion. At only $725,000, it's a good value for a supercar in general, and for driving around free mode as well. And lastly, we have the open wheels class. This one has been quite controversial as currently there are only 2 F1 cars in the class, which is the PR4 and the R88. But ultimately the PR4 does get better lap times in open wheel races, so it is essentially the king. I wish they would have been more closely matched, but it just is what it is lap time wise. As for the budget car for this class, there really isn't one as there are only 2 vehicles in the class, so if you can snag one either on sale or on the casino podium, that is obviously a good deal, but there's no budget one for this class. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed. Now you know the best cars for racing for maybe some vehicle classes you weren't sure about. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.